Hello, Professor Gary. Today I'm presenting a supply chain analysis of a cotton t-shirt focusing on the ethical risk at different stages of its global production. I'll walk you through the visual maps, highlighting every risk related in raw materials, and that is sourcing, manufacturing, and distribution, and share a few practical solutions related to it and some personal reflection. So let's go to next slide. Okay, talking about the introduction, we can see that ethical concerns in global supply chain have drawn considerable attention in a major concern among uh, businesses in the world. So from cotton fields to retail shelves, there are like serious concern around labor rights and environmental damage as well as government issuance. So businesses are required to mitigate these dangers to encourage sustainable and ethical sourcing. So here my goal is to show how complex ethical sourcing can be and how companies can address risk at each stage from cotton farms to retail stores. So let's go to the next slide, which is supply chain map. So here we can see it's a visual map of t-shirt supply chain. As in the right side, I'm going to explain the multiple stages of visual map, starting with raw material sourcing and ending with the global distribution. So the stages we can see raw material sourcing. It starts in India where cotton, like it starts in India where cotton is grown, yeah, and then it moves to Bangladesh where the cotton is spun to fabric. After that, the fabric is sent to Vietnam for garment production in final assembly stage, and finally, it is shipped to United States for retail and sale. So here, each stage presents uh, its own risks related to labor rights, environmental concerns, government issuance, which I will be explaining in details in the next slide. Okay, so this is the ethical risk of India in terms of cotton farming. In India, one of the main issue is child labor, we can see, and forced labor in cotton farming. Also, a large amount of pesticides are used, harming the environment and workers' health. Water scarcity is also another big issue. Cotton farming consumes a lot of it, often in regions already facing drought. For the risk assessment, these are high impact risks that companies must address through better monitoring and partnership with ethical farming programs. So let's go to another slide that is the Bangladesh fabric manufacturing. So in Bangladesh, garment workers often face unsafe conditions, long hours, and very low pay wages. So many factories also pollute rivers and untreated dyes, despite improvements, I would say enforcement is weak, and this issue still persists. So that's what the company must go beyond audits and invest in long-term suppliers relationship to improve factory standards. So, so here the risk related to Vietnam, that is final assembly. Vietnam faces Vietnam also faces a similar labor issue, but also corruption like falsified records and audits during inspections, worker exploitation, and illegal waste dumping can happen when oversight is very poor and unseen. So this makes traceability harder and increase the risk of, brand damage. These are related to moderate to high risk, I would say, especially in terms of fast fashion, where cost and speed are prioritized. So let's go to next slide. That is about the risk distribution, that is global distribution in the USA. So this is the final stage, which is distribution and retail. Even uh, though it seems less risky, there are still ethical issues. So high carbon emissions from transportations are a big concern. And so it is the use of plastic and non-recyclable packaging. So I would say these are type of medium level risks, and they still matter in building a sustainable brand. So this is all the risk analysis table, which I have already mentioned in the above part, and I have distributed the stage. It's all of these impacts and the ethical risk. So these are all I have already mentioned and just distributed in terms of a table as done in analysis process. So I would so this is the mitigation strategies in order to overcome this risk, supply chain risk related to um, cotton t-shirts. So in order to reduce this risk, companies has to take several actions. So they should use fair trade certified cotton in order to support ethical farming. So they also must invest in long-term factory partnership rather than switching suppliers for low cost. So also using blockchain for transparency, like the technology like IBM did to track cobalt in mining. So, for example, I would like to give is the Nestle, how Nestle uses Starlink satellite technology to monitor the deforestation in palm oil sourcing. And for shipping, companies can shift to carbon neutral logistics and eco-friendly packaging, which is must necessary. So these two, I would say these two are not perfect, but they might improve the oversight and build some accountability. So reflection, what surprised me? So the mostly what surprised me the most was is how deep the risks go. So even beyond like direct suppliers, like companies often have no idea what's happening in the two or three levels down where child labor or illegal dumping might occur. So that was what surprised me most, and the biggest trade-off I noticed was between low cost and ethics. Of course, impact of cheap labor is related to faster, cheaper production often comes mm, with hidden human or environmental costs. In some such countries, such as in some country like those countries that is Vietnam and Bangladesh. So what might be the ethical sourcing challenges? So cost challenge is practicing ethical sourcing that is without an enormous increase in the expenditures. So I would say the long-term solutions will be if companies commit to ethical sourcing, they will gain consumer trust, investors' confidence, and also long-term stability throughout their business. So in conclusion, I would say that ethical sourcing is not just a trend, but it's essential for a sustainable future. Businesses must take a full responsibility, and it's not just for what we like. It's not just for what they buy, but it's about how it's made. So thank you so much. This is my presentation, and I would like to thank you for giving me chance to presenting my own ideas and knowledge. Thank you so much.